Hello, welcome. Good to see everybody here today. Welcome to the Jaybe show on Revolutionary Blackout Network. Happy Sunday, as usual. Good to see all of you here today. Oh, it's a little bright. Gotta put that shade back a little bit. A little too bright, for me. But good to see all of you here. Today is Sunday, March 26th, 2023. I am your host, James Fauntleroy. So good to see all of you here with me on this beautiful day. Now, just to let you guys know, every single Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern, I'm live here on RBN, also on RBN Live on Tuesdays at 4, and the Savvy and JP show on Thursdays at 6. I also have my own channel called the JB Font channel, which I also talk about a lot of different things. So if you guys would like to, you guys can also go and subscribe and watch my channel there. That's also linked in the description down below. Thank you so much to all the patrons on Patreon, as well as all of the members. Yes, we have memberships now on RBN. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to all the subscribers just for being, so supportive and watching. Because without you guys, we would not be able to do this. And so thank you so very much. Also, just to let you guys know, if you guys would like to, we also do our fundraiser for our graphics designer, Erin. And she does an amazing job. So please make sure to assist us with that. You go to Venmo at Revolutionary Blackout Network. I'm sorry, Revolutionary Blackout. And then Cash App is $ Mutual Aid Forever to help us with our graphics designer, Erin. And Erin, we thank you so very much for all that you do. Now, usually I always start off with saying my hellos to my audience, and that has not changed. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to start off, and we're going to begin on Rockfin. I usually don't do Rockfin first, but I'm going to do Rockfin first because we got to give our people on the rock some love, and that's very important. All right, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to share the screen, and then we'll get right on to it. All right, we have Drew Tech saying someone should have gave that tornado to Hillary. I doing to that. Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's pretty based. Twister. Yeah, she's a war criminal. But we're going to be talking about more about what's going on with her in a little bit, but yeah. She's grifting hard. So we're gonna get to the comments and the chat and say hello to everybody. We have Old Man Barker coming in saying, "Hey, buddies, hey, Old Man Barker, so good to see you." We got Wari coming in the chat saying, "Hey, everybody, good to see you, Wari." Also, we have AG giving it a hello and a wave. All right, we got Steve Wolfbrandt coming in saying, "Hi, everyone, good to see you, Steve." We have Donald B. Donald says, "Hello, everyone. Good to see ya." Yepek says, "Can you smell what the rock is cooking?" Absolutely. Can you smell? I can't do the one eyebrow thing, though, unfortunately. I wish I could, though. But oh well. We shall move on. Bill Cossis says, "Comms." Comms? Hello. All right. We have Kira Penny says, "Hello" to the chat. Love that Zen intro music. Thank you so much, Kira. Nice to have you. Nice to have you. We have Nicey L says, "Hello. Good to see you in the chat." Awesome. Yeah. You have Cherry Garcia coming in saying, "Hello. Good to see you, Cherry." All right. And look, we got one kind of very kind of somber, serious story, but then we're going to clown on a war criminal for the rest of the stream. Because if you guys know, I think that it is completely appropriate to clown on war criminals. I'll put it to you this way. If true justice actually existed in this country, they all would be in jumpsuits and they would all be incarcerated right now. So it is very light for me to just clown on them. And some people are like, "Oh, you may have disagreements." No, that's not a disagreement. They know what they're doing is wrong. It is agreed upon everybody in the world that what they're doing is wrong. And so guess what? We're going to clown on them because that's the least we can do, right? The least we can do is clown on them. The least we can do is laugh at their expense. So yeah, that's how I feel. But yes, so good to see all of you. We have Out in Left Field coming in. So Old Queer out in 75 stands. I don't understand what you mean. But hello. Welcome to the channel. Good to see you. All right. So one of the things that came across my view today, and here's the things we're going to talk about, is Mississippi tragedy and Hillary Clinton's grift. You guys are going to realize why I got Hillary Clinton on the thumbnail. Trust me, it was not a pleasurable thing to put her on the thumbnail. Trust and believe that. Because I mean, I'm not a fan of somebody that contributes to mass murder. I'm just not. they leave a bad taste in my mouth. Like, nah. Henry Kissinger, nah. Madeleine Albright, nah. Hillary Clinton, nah. Barack Obama, nah. Donald Trump, nah. Joe Biden, nah. George W. Bush, nah. Sorry. Watch Aaron put this in a short, and she's gonna have fun with that one. Somebody's gonna use that whenever somebody says something. They're gonna cut away to me going, nah. Watch. It's gonna happen, and I'm gonna laugh my behind off. Oh man. But yeah, so that's what we're gonna be talking about today. Oh, okay. CBC voter, good to see ya. And Bill says out as a gay man since 1975. Oh, okay. Thank you so very much. So, some tragic news to start off with. There was a tornado that hit a local town in Mississippi. When it rains, it pours. Mississippi is one of the poorest states in the United States, but on top of that, they just got hit by a bad tornado. So we're going to look at one of the articles here, and then we'll get to a video really quick to talk about it. So it says there's nothing left. Deep South tornadoes kill 26. This is tough. So in Rolling Fork, Mississippi, rescuers raced Saturday to search for survivors and help hundreds of people left homeless after a powerful tornado cut through a devastating path through Mississippi, killing at least 25 people, injuring dozens, and flattening entire blocks as it carved a path of destruction for more than an hour. One person was killed in Alabama. The tornado devastated the swath of Mississippi Delta town of Rolling Fork, reducing homes to piles of rubble, flipping cars on their sides, and toppling the town's water tower. Residents hunkered down in bathtubs and hallways during Friday night's storm and later broke into a John Deere store that they converted into a triage center for the wounded. There is nothing left, said Wonder Bolden, holding her granddaughter, Journey, while standing outside the remnants of her mother's now leveled mobile home in Rolling Fork. There's just the breeze that's running through and through, just nothing. Based on early data, the tornado received a primary EF4 rating. That is the second highest rating you can have, by the way. The National Weather Service in Jackson said late Saturday in a tweet, an EF4 tornado has a top wind gusts of 166 miles per hour and 200 miles per hour, according to the service. The Jackson office cautioned it was still gathering information on the tornado. Mississippi Emergency Management Agency announced late Saturday afternoon in a tweet that the death toll had risen to 25 and that dozens of people were injured. 4 people previously reported missing have been found. Other parts of Deep South were digging out from damage caused by other suspected twisters. 1 man died in Morgan County, Alabama, the Sheriff's Department said in a tweet. Throughout Saturday, survivors walked around dazed and in shock as they broke through debris and fallen trees with chainsaws searching for survivors. Power lines were pinned under decade-old oaks, their roots torn from the ground. So, of course, the Mississippi Governor Reeves is going to be declaring a state of emergency, which allows for federal assistance. And so this is what happened. When tragedies like this strike, it just, a lot of times we'll hear about these things now these days, and we don't really focus too much on anymore. But I live in Florida, where we're under a constant barrage of hurricanes, which can give birth to tornadoes too. And a lot of us, in the independent media space, and those, especially of us in Revolutionary Blackout Network, we talk about economic issues. The thing is that these natural disasters also tie into economic issues. How many of these people in Rolling Fork, they don't have a bunch of money in savings just in case? There's no such thing if there is such thing as tornado insurance, do any of them have it? And even if they do have it, is it really going to work? Because a lot of these insurance companies don't really care. They just want to make money. They don't really want to pay out. And some people may not be able to afford it if hurricane insurance exists. What if there was, what about their housing? They have housing insurance, but I don't know if that affects it. But what about being displaced? What about burial? Some people may have life insurance, but not everybody has life insurance. Nope, not everybody can afford it. What about, people having to take off of work? Take one day off and it's over. Many people in this country cannot take off one day of work. That's how economically displaced we are. So when we see stories like this, I think it's important for us to reflect on, it's not just within our daily lives that is hard, that is arduous to deal with, to survive. Imagine when tragedies like this strike, and the fact that it is also exacerbated by climate change. Just imagine. Mississippi is one of the poorest states in the United States. Mississippi also has a low economic base. So I'm going to show you guys that. By the way, the minimum wage in Mississippi is $7.25 an hour. That's the minimum wage. Here's how the Census Bureau out of Rolling Fork. Let me make sure. Out of income and earnings is $38,558 is the median household income in Rolling Fork City, Mississippi. That's the median income out of the entire country. Which means people are barely surviving. And I think it's important to keep into context, because here at Revolutionary Blackout Network, we are an all black network, is to focus on the racial disparity as well. So in this town, it has 1,402 black people, 423 white people. So over 80% of the entire town is black. So on top of income disparity, on top of the climate crisis, on top of all that, there's also racial disparities that they have to deal with as a majority black town. So this is one of the reasons why we talk about what we talk about. Because a town like this going through what it's going through, even though it's a small town, what are they going to do? A majority of Americans do not have enough money for a $400 emergency. You guys know the figures. Most of them don't. And so when we talk about changing our system, we mean to a system that favors people instead of profit. Imagine having storehouses full of building supplies and materials that are kept there publicly, just in case of emergency. And when these emergencies happen, they go into that storage for the concrete, the wood, the pipe fixtures. They go in there for the electrical. They have all these things stored up. They can store it underground for all I care. And then when somebody loses a few houses, they come in and they rebuild. They rebuild whatever they can. And then, you can have many different communities with these different things, and they all come in and converge on one area to rebuild. But imagine if we had that. But we don't. What about healthcare? We just went through a drastic pandemic that has took a bat to the knees of this world, especially this country, especially because of the mishandling of it. And now you have people who have to deal with this now. What are they to do? Bootstrap that. Bootstrap it. Well, how are they going to do that? let me go to the video. There's a couple. First, I'm going to show you guys the drone footage video, and then we're going to go to a more on the ground video talking about, everything that has taken place. So let me make sure this is enlarged so it looks good. All right. All right. So this is in Rolling Fork, Mississippi. So as you guys can see, this town is decimated. Imagine if this was your town. Imagine you get into the tub, or you get into the hallway or into the basement, and you hide out for an hour. It sounds like a freight train coming through your house. Let's say you just got home from work, or you just got home from school, and you're about to eat, or you're on the phone with a loved one, and they say, take cover now. Guess what? You have to stop what you're doing, go and take cover. And guess what? After about an hour, you come out and you see this. You see all this. Nothing recognizable. And then people will say, oh, well, federal aid will come in. Yeah, but is it really going to make everybody whole again? And by whole, I mean get their houses back. And if they don't own their own home, then where are they going to? They're permanently displaced. But on top of all that, are they going to get their automobiles back? People say, oh, they have auto insurance, but are they going to be able to get the same value that they got back? Remember, cars depreciate in value. Are they going to have adequate health care? Are they going to do like what they did for Libby, Montana? And in Section 1881A of the Social Security Act, they're going to give them Medicare for all? Are they going to do that? Because there's a lot of people who were hurt. A lot of people who were harmed. What about the burial for the loved ones? The 26 people that died. Are they going to have anything? You see, here's my problem. People are going to defend, or they're going to depend on the kindness of others, which I do appreciate the kindness of others, right? That is very important. But in the system that we have, not in the system that we have, I should rephrase that. In the society that we have in these modern times, we should not have to depend on the kindness of others in order for us to survive or even to thrive. That should not be. We should not have to crowdfund. We should not have to depend on people to jump in their trucks, jump in their cars to come down and help. In fact, it should be a public government apparatus to make everybody whole, as if before the tornado ever happened. That's how it should be. And it should not be for profit. It should not be privatized. And yet, who's going to end up making more money off of this? The insurance companies are going to make money off of this. Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Aetna, United, Humana, they're going to make money off of this. Geico's going to make money off of this. Forget that 15%. Geico's going to make a killing off of this, right? If we had an egalitarian system, would they be able to make themselves whole again? Yeah. Because we would have a system that makes sure that we are prepared for these things. You see, in a more equitable, equal, egalitarian system, it's not looking at things through a rose-colored lens as if tragedies won't strike, like natural disasters won't strike. Earthquakes will still happen. Hurricanes will still happen. Tornadoes will still happen, right? People will still get struck by lightning. Things like this will happen. But the recovery won't be reduced because of a system that focuses on greed. I think this is important. But when we talk about things like this, people didn't realize that when Superstorm Sandy came in and ravaged New York, that it would happen to them. Oh, but it happened. They're looking at us like Florida, like, well, look at you guys. Look what happened to Florida. When natural disaster strikes, the tragedy is exacerbated by the capitalist system. Because capitalism is a system that looks for profit wherever it can, including and especially during tragic events. Because you are more desperate in tragic events than you are in normal events. I live in Florida. I know. Price gouging happens every single time we have a tornado or hurricane. Every single time it happens, people are selling things and striking up the prices as high as they possibly can just so that they can make an extra buck. That's the profit of greed. And you don't think that these corporate dictators aren't doing the same thing? How much did you pay for eggs this week? Milk? Fruit? Veggies? Hot Pockets. How much did you pay for it? Because the thing is that, look, you are literally being price gouged right now. People call it inflation, but it's price gouging. And let's not forget, these people just experienced a tragedy and in time where we're experiencing record inflation, price gouging in our country. And before I even look at Rockfin, I know Roger Meadows is going to come in and say, if we have public banks, then this could be mitigated because we would have the funds to be able to invest in infrastructure. I haven't even looked at Rockfin yet. I know that's what Roger Meadows would say. I hope I made him proud. But seriously, like, we need to have apparatuses like this.
over 24 people have been killed and many more wounded after severe storms that spawned at least one violent tornado ripped across Mississippi late on Friday, according to the state's emergency management agency on Saturday. It left a trail of damage more than 100 miles long and hundreds without shelter. Though 4 people earlier reported missing have been located. Piles of twisted metal can be seen here in the western Mississippi town of Rolling Fork, which was hardest hit. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves on Saturday issued a state of emergency in the affected areas. On Twitter, Reeves said, "The scale of the damage and loss is evident everywhere affected today: homes, businesses, entire communities." President Joe Biden described the images from Mississippi as heartbreaking. He said in a statement that he had spoken with Reeves and offered his condolences, as well as full federal support for the recovery. While the White House said Federal Emergency Management Agency Director Deanne Criswell will travel to Mississippi on Sunday to join those already on the ground. At least 24 reports of tornadoes were issued to the National Weather Service on Friday night and into Saturday morning by storm chasers and observers. The reports stretch from the western edge of Mississippi north through the center of the state and into Alabama.
So, one of the things that I also want to address, and I hear this a lot from people who typically are liberal and vote Democrat, is they will say, well, if you guys want more help, then you guys should have voted better. That is anti-worker. That is heartless. And that is a cruel statement. That's an inhumane statement, because you're basically saying that their plight that they've just experienced is a result of a system that really does not listen to their voice anyway. We all joke about how we do not live in a democracy. I'm begging to argue that we really don't live in that much in a democracy. So how are you going to blame something on somebody that they really didn't have that much of a choice in? Also, by the way, even if they made a bad choice, that does not mean that they deserve to suffer. Remember, most of the people in this country are brainwashed in some way or another, either by one side or the other of the uniparty. So, how am I going to punish someone for something that they were brainwashed into believing? That's like a child running around with a cup full of juice, and they're just now experiencing walking around a cup without a lid on it. They didn't know better. People think that they know better. People assume. But the thing is that when you're being taught by our system one way, when in reality, it's not the way that they say it is. No, it's not. We have to let our humanity be the overarching function that we display towards other people in order for them to, number one, get to a point where they can be helped, to where they can actually learn, instead of learning through punishment, it's learning through help. Gonna go to the chat really quick. Thank you so much for the super chat. Lulu Loveberry says, thank you for all you do, for all your advocacy. It is appreciated. Thank you. Thank you so very much. That means a lot. I try. I got a lot to work on, though. Boy, do I have a lot to work on. But I'm doing the best I can. Yepx says, there are just so many people and causes that need mutual aid help. People just can't afford to help everyone. That's true. It's impossible, really. We have to pick and choose what we can help under capitalism. Yes. The ultimate way to help everyone is to change the system. Changing the system is the ultimate way, is the ultimate version of mutual aid. So that we can have a more central planning system, so that whenever things like this happen, it's from a government apparatus. Okay, people lost their home, they're going to get with their home back. They're either going to get the same what they had before or better. I'm a believer in that. So let's say you were living in a house and it needs some repairs, kind of run down, but it's all you had. And then a tornado comes, hits, destroys your home. We're going to build you a brand new house. You're not going to have what you had before. You're going to have better. Why? Because you are worthy of it. You're worthy of it. Brian says, so if we're used to unnatural disasters and police killings, why would we not be immune from natural disasters? Somebody said we're used to unnatural disasters. Who said that? We're not immune to them. We'll never be immune to them. We can build contingencies and safeguards, but this goes into building housing that's more resilient against natural disasters. But if you do that, then that means that a lot of these housing companies that build houses and a lot of these banks and a lot of these other companies, they won't be happy, because then if you build something to last, then that means you're not going to be building that much more, which means you're not going to make that much profit. Auto companies hate public transit. They hate, especially the idea of mass public transit. They hate it. Why? Less profit. Even the homeowners insurance companies, they would hate this, because if your house is more resilient against things like this, let's say fires, floods, wind gusts, tornadoes, hurricanes, let's say your house is more resilient against that. Guess what? They're not going to like that either. Because, and especially if you're guaranteed housing, because if you're guaranteed housing, and let's say your house is destroyed, we have a government apparatus, then your house gets rebuilt. Insurance for what? Insurance is just a middleman. Housing should be guaranteed. I said it on, with Lee Kemp last week. You are worthy of housing. I'm not even using the word deserve anymore. You want to know why I'm not using that word anymore? Because deserve means that you have to do some action in order to deserve something. Technically. Worthy, I say, is just by virtue of being a human being and living on this planet, you deserve housing. So that's why I use the word worthy. So we'll never be immune from them, but we can actually build contingencies and have things in place so that the disasters are mitigated or minimalized at the very least, so that less lives are lost, less property is damaged, and it also saves us money. Because if you have a home that's able to withstand 150-mile-per-hour winds, then if in case something like this happens, guess what? Your house is safe, which means you won't have to spend any money to get it repaired or get a new one. Jessica says, what about those that vote and nothing changes? That's why I hate when they say it. I'm going to give you the last word on that one. SG says, oh, okay. You're explaining that. Sabby's in the chat. I didn't see her. I was so busy talking. Oh, hey, Sabs. Sabs in the chat. That tornado category is not common. That's a powerful storm. Yeah. EF4, there's 5 of them. EF1 to EF5. And EF4 is the second highest that you can get. Creative Experiment says, in fact, the only reason houses are built to higher standards are because insurance companies are requiring it now, not because it's the right thing to do. Remember what happened? Okay, so I had on Alex from United for East Palestine yesterday, and we were talking about Norfolk Southern. And one of the things I was explaining is that Norfolk Southern, the reason why these derailments happen is because companies like Norfolk Southern do not want to invest in actual safety measures because it costs more money. Investing in actual safer products and safety measures within housing also costs more money. And so if they want to make more profit, then that means that they have to build the houses cheaper. So they're willing to do the bare minimum as possible in order to build these houses. And the only thing that is the reason why yours isn't going up in smoke right now is because of regulations by the government that was set in place to make sure that that doesn't happen. But even still, they're still going to use the cheapest way possible because it's all about profit. And so, guess what? In a system that's for profit, that means your house isn't going to be built in the most optimal way possible to withstand things like this. Because ultimately, that means that if it's not, and if it's destroyed, then who has to come back and ask for more supplies for the house? When the electrical goes down, who do you have to go to? When your plumbing goes down, who do you have to go to? When you have to replace sheetrock, who do you have to go to? You have to go to all these places and either do repairs or you have to rebuild it fully. And then who do you get financing from? More financing from the banks. That's how it works. Building something that lasts, that's a lot more durable, it's not profitable. Capitalism breeds innovation. Raziel the Great says, well, actually, safer buildings makes the insurance company more money because if your home doesn't just collapse at any old wind blowing through, insurance doesn't have to pay. That is also true, and that's another variable that I forgot to mention. But also, insurance rates go higher in areas where there are higher risk. So yeah. There was another tornado in Mississippi recently. That's what I'm talking about. This Friday past. Sarina says, "True, JB. I live in a manufactured home, pre-built regulation, and the quality design and structure is crap." Yeah. William Black says, "The profit system is destroying our society." Absolutely. Robert Templeton says, "Capitalism breeds profits. Innovation would happen with, or probably for the better without it." Yeah, absolutely. Checking the rock. All right, let me go here. Check the rock. Okay. Jutek says, "Joe Biden, this will be heartbreaking. That is, if I had a heart." Yeah. It is sad, though, that in this country we lack the sense of community many countries have that allows them to push through tough times. Democrats, if you wanted my help, you should have voted for my cult. Yeah, that's how they are. Definitely. And so to even mitigate this disaster, um, I know Roger Meadows a lot of times talks about public banks in using CBIs or ballot initiatives to push for public banks, either a state public bank or a municipal public bank. But these would be tools that are used to at least mitigate what's going on in this system. It's not an answer. It's not an answer to fix capitalism or to get rid of capitalism, which I want to do, but it's a mean to help us to survive while still in this system because it's used primarily for infrastructure. So, yeah. So, yeah, this is why it is important for us to focus on mutual aid. Mutual aid is a very integral part for us to make sure that our neighbors are taken care of. This is why worker solidarity is important. This is why unionization or workers owning the workplace is important because workers can come together and help each other out. And so this is why I'm such a big proponent of it. And it builds community. And a more tight-knit community works harder together in order to ensure that everyone is safeguarded. So if you can find mutual aid organizations in your area to join, do that. Make sure to get with them, see if they're having any type of mutual aid type of campaigns that are going towards Rolling Fork, Mississippi to help them out. Because, to be honest with you, the people there really need help. So, yeah. That took a swig. Okay. Now, let's go to the primary story for today. Hillary Rodham Clinton. Yes, I am talking about Hillary. I am talking about the grift. Lady G, Miss War Criminal herself. You guys are gonna laugh. Hillary Clinton is now going to be teaching the class. And I know you guys we talked about the master class, what was that, over a year ago, something like that. No. This is this is worse. It's worse. let's get to it. All right. Oh gosh. I can't. I just can't. With Hillary, I can't. Oh gosh. This lady. Hang on. Let me share my screen really quick. Woo boy. Let me. All right, so Columbia University. Columbia University, their School of International and Public Affairs, is going to be holding a class with Hillary Clinton as one of the professors. So we're going to be talking about it. Let's get into it. Save your cringes for the...
Oh my God.
What is it?
It's Hillary Clinton. She's running.
What?
What? Hillary's running again?
I know. I heard that's so crazy. This is wild. She's running again.
Here I am.
Hillary, you're running again.
Well, I sure am, Karen. I just got here early for the new class we're teaching together on foreign policy decision making.
Classes don't start until September.
Yeah, but I wanted to be prepared, Karen. You know, when it comes to crisis situations, you've always got to be prepared.
Prepared? I think you're more prepared than anyone to teach this course. Now, what are we going to call it?
Inside the Situation Room.
Yes. And I'll cover the theory of political decision making and strategy.
Mm-hmm. And I'll cover what it was actually like in the room during the bin Laden raid, the Iran sanctions, the Gaza ceasefire, you name it.
Okay, but are you ready for whatever questions the students throw at you?
Bring it on. Now, if you'll excuse me, Karen, I've got to run.
You heard the secretary. If you get inside the Situation Room, come prepared.
I thought the tornado was bad. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Queen of the Warmongers is holding the class at Columbia University. What in the hell, man? I'm telling you. Dear God, this is some BS. I'm telling you. Look, y'all mean to tell me this this monster, this crow's feet laden monster is going to be holding the class on international public affairs? I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to subject y'all back to it. I'm sorry. This is wild, bruh.
Oh my God.
What is it?
It's Hillary
Cringe!
Clinton. She's running.
What?
Cringe! Holy
What?
crap.
Hillary's running again?
I know. I heard that's so crazy. This is wild. She's running again.
Here I am.
Hillary, you're running again.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I sure am, Karen. I just got here early for the new class we're teaching together on foreign policy decision making.
Classes don't start until September.
Yeah, but I wanted to be prepared, Karen. You know, when it comes to crisis situations, you've always got to be prepared.
To murder. To murder. That's what she meant. Muammar Gaddafi has entered the chat.
Prepared? I think you're more prepared than anyone to teach this course. Now, what are we going to call it?
Inside the situation room.
Yes.
In the words of Miranda Priestley from The Devil Wears Prada, inside the situation room, groundbreaking. I should have put some liquor in this thing. Look, if any of y'all smoking a bowl right now, take a puff from me right now, will you? Please. Because, oh, hell.
Yes. And I'll cover the theory of political decision making and strategy.
Mhm. And I'll cover what it was actually like in the room during the bin Laden raid, the Iran sanctions, the Gaza ceasefire, you name it.
Okay, but are you ready for whatever questions the students throw at you?
No, she's not. She's not. And why do I have a feeling that most of the students that are going to be in there are going to be from a more affluent household, number one. So they are going to be more game for the system. And two, they're going to be ones who aren't really going to challenge power within the classroom. You know what I would love, though? I would love for a group of students who actually are anti-imperialist to just take classes, go in there, and as soon as she starts asking questions, everybody gets up and they start asking drilling questions about her foreign policy and condemning her. Made you do that old face too, huh? Just thinking about it. Right? Oh, dear God.
Bring it on. Now, if you'll excuse me, Karen, I've got to run.
Of course, her name is Karen. Dear God. So that's happening. And, well, let's take a look. What does it involve exactly? I hope Sabby's still in the chat because this has to do with education and she's going to be cringing all day. Dear God. Oh, Lord. Columbia, SIPA, School of International Public Affairs, inside the situation room. New course offering. So, this is for fall 2023. Says faculty, Secretary Hillary Rodham Clinton, professor of the practice of international public affairs, 67th Secretary of State, and former senator from the state of New York, Karen Yarhi Milo, Dean, and Adelaide E. Stevenson, professor of international relations. This course is open to Columbia, SIPA, and Columbia undergraduate students by application only. It says, in an era increasingly defined by geopolitical competition, aka Russia and China, it is more important than ever for future policymakers to understand why and how foreign policy decisions are made. Look, I can give you the answer to all that already. I can give you the answer. Look, y'all ain't got to spend all that money on college anyway. I can give you the answer as to why it is. Ready? You with me? Let's get close. Let's get close, baby. Money. These oligopolic corporations want to expand their capitalist influence across the world. And so the United States foreign policy is geared towards getting these oligopolic corporations to expand their tentacles across the world by use of our military and diplomatic forces. I just saved you a whole bunch of... Look, I saved you more money than Geico, baby. I saved you more than 15%. You ain't got to go to that school now. Hi, did you like the stream? Did you subscribe? Hi, welcome to RBN. Jaybe here. Yeah, so that's the thing a lot of people don't realize is that that's ultimately what it's about. It's about more money to the military industrial complex. Why the hell you think we're in Ukraine right now? Oh, I'm sorry. We're supporting the troops in Ukraine. Why the hell you think that is? Why in the world are they trying to drum up all this fanfare against China and saying they're invading Taiwan? Why in the hell are they trying to ban TikTok? Why in the world are, countries like the United States trying to get into countries like Africa and trying to take over the cobalt mines? Why are they trying to go into Uganda and push their right-wing narrative? By the way, I'll be on Indie News Network later this week to talk about that. And they're pushing this anti-LGBTQ type of legislation only because right-wing ideologies are more sympathetic to capitalism. So guess what? They want to have more people who are sympathetic to capitalism so they can have a puppet of the United States there, because they just found trillions of dollars worth of gold in Uganda. This is what it's all about, and this is what it has been all about since the beginning of this country. It has been for getting cheap labor and also getting all the resources just so they can own everything and have a bunch of servants. That's it. They want you to be a servant, you to be a servant, you to be a servant. Everybody's a servant. Everybody's a slave. Yay! That's what it's about. And they want you to be happy and own nothing. That's what it's about. And that's what it's been about for a long ass time. And people like Hillary Clinton are going to be drilling that into the heads of some of these affluent kids, these affluent young people, I should say, who decided to take their class because they thought that they were taking this class in order to better the world. But in reality, people like Hillary Clinton are making the world worse. Yes, she herself has helped make the world worse. Forget her husband. Her husband has done that too. And her husband's predecessor, I'm sorry, not predecessor. Well, technically, yeah, predecessor too. But also the people who came after him also made the world worse. And they continue to do the exact same thing. Their objective has never changed. The goal of the United States is to subject the world to slavery. Make that into a soundbite. You think that slavery has left their prime directive? Do you think that that's the case? No. No. Mm-mm. It's ridiculous how it's going because it's not what they tell you. So what I'm going to show you guys is a quote. Actually, I haven't even finished this one. Inside the Situation Room, quote taught by Secretary Hillary Rodham Clinton and Dean Karen Milo employs insights from diverse academic fields, including political psychology, domestic politics, and international relations, and a direct experience of high-level principles into the room to understand the key factors which underpin a nation's most crucial decisions. This course allows students to engage in a range of case studies and examine decision-making in a variety of historical and contemporary contexts, from the search for Osama bin Laden to the Red Line in Syria to negotiating with Iran. Students will be taught how to analyze and understand the complex interplay between individual psychology, domestic politics, public opinion, bureaucracy, and international environments, and other factors which feed into the decisions about foreign policy. Money. From crisis diplomacy to the use of force, signaling and perception, intelligence and its analysis, the deployment of other instruments of statecraft, and more. Through this course, students will think carefully, analytically about how leaders and other actors view the world, how they arrive at their decisions, and how various social, political, and psychological factors shape the policies they devise to promote their interests abroad. Select questions to the address include: how do factors such as experience, gender, personality, emotions, and more impact leaders' decision-making process? How do the limits of human cognition and rationality impact leadership during international crises? Do groups make better decisions than individuals alone? Are democratic leaders therefore more effective at foreign policy decision-making than authoritarian ones like the United States? How do leaders effectively engage in signaling during crisis? How do they weigh decisions about whether and how to use force. How do public opinion influence the decision-making process of leaders on issues of foreign policy? Bureaucrats and advisors receive and interpret information differently than leaders, and how does this affect the process of decision making within the government? Here's the bullshit. The goal of this course is to give students a holistic understanding of the many facets of foreign policy decision making. As future participants in this policy process, this course will provide a vital background that they can draw on should they too find themselves finding themselves facing high pressure decisions with implications for national security and global stability. It will also enhance their ability to counsel intelligence officers, military leaders, advertisers, or other government officials by improving their ability to anticipate other actors' actions, perceptions, and motivations. This course is by application only. Priority for undergraduate applicants will be given to those applying to their 5-year joint degree program with SEPA. If you are a current Columbia SEPA or Columbia undergraduate student and are interested in being notified when applications for this fall 2023 SEPA course opens, please enter your information. Thank you for coming to the bullshit. So yeah. Let's see. Let's see what Hillary Clinton understands. What type of thing she's going to be teaching. Just so that we know the type of person that she really is. Some of y'all know, but some people don't know. Some people have no idea. Just make sure.
Secretary, let's turn, if we can, to Libya. The UN and human rights groups are calling for an investigation, saying that if, as it appears from the videotape, that Gaddafi was executed, it was a war crime. And you're also coming under fire for what you said.
We came, we saw, he died.
Is this your queen? Is this your queen?
We came, we saw, he died.
Question, do you regret what you said, Secretary? And if I may, do you regret what you said? And do you feel Gaddafi was wronged or that he got what was coming to him?
Well, let's have an investigation. I fully support the United Nations investigation, and I fully support the Transitional National Council's own call for an independent investigation. I support it on the merits because it's important to find the facts, and I support it as part of what will be a challenging transition process. You know, the Transitional National Council today is going to declare the liberation of Libya. They are then going to announce a new government. They need to make it clear that it will be a government to unify the country, to seek reconciliation, to make everyone who supported the former regime, as long as they don't have blood on their hands, feel safe and included in a new Libya. And so from my perspective, I think such an investigation would be very important to establish accountability, rule of law, and pave the way for the inclusive democratic future that the Libyans tell me they want.
Secretary, do you regret what you said?
Well, I'm not going to comment on that. We didn't even know what was happening at that time because it was an unconfirmed report.
But you said, wait, what did you say? Hang on. Run that thing back.
You said.
What did you say?
We came, we saw, he died. We came, we saw, he died. We came, we saw, he died.
Run that thing back.
We came, we saw, he died.
You mean to tell me you don't know what happened? Hillary. Who the hell you think you're talking to? This is who Hillary Clinton is. Let's share the screen. This is out of the Black Agenda Report. If you guys are not subscribed to them and get your news from them, then you guys should, then you guys should really consider getting your news from Black Agenda Report. Very, very wonderful group. But it's how Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton contributed to Libya's slave crisis. So, says the Obama administration bombed Libya into oblivion while using racist and terrorist rebel groups to do their dirty deeds on the ground. Understandably, it is emotionally painful to witness so many African brothers and sisters being brutally beaten and sold into slavery within present-day Libya. This is yet another important moment for solidarity, Pan-Africanism, internationalism, and general humanitarianism to be invoked to halt this brutality and saving countless lives. It is also important to note that this tragedy could have been avoided. Many people who are crying out for the ending of slavery in Libya are the same people that supported the lethal Obama-Clinton tag team that orchestrated the destruction of what was once the African nation with the highest living standards, Libya. Many of these folks unconditionally supported Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton despite their nefarious actions. Many even made excuses for the bombing of Libya, knowing if George W. Bush or Donald Trump were doing the same, they would be crying bloody murder. The hypocrisy is quite pathetic and beyond reprehensible. In 2011, Obama administration bombed Libya into oblivion while using racist terrorist groups to do their dirty deeds on the ground. These terrorists often targeted Black Africans for rape, torture, and public lynchings simply because they were seen as allies to Muammar Gaddafi, who had provided a safe haven for those same Black Africans. The Obama administration knew all of this. They used the CIA to deliver arms, advice, and even cash to terrorist rebels in an effort to overthrow Muammar Gaddafi and the Libyan Jamaah. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton desperately wanted to halt the advancements of Gaddafi and his government. So they hated the man. But why? Was he a brutal dictator as people like Hillary Clinton, as she decries? Was he? Well, let's take a look. This was the history they never taught about African history on Muammar Gaddafi. Below are 16 things Colonel Muammar Gaddafi did under his rule. 1. There was no, hang on, let me get close to the microphone. There was no electricity bill in Libya. Electricity was free for all its citizens during Gaddafi's reign. That's number 1. Number 2, there was no interest on loans. Banks in Libya were state-owned and loans were given to all its citizens at 0% interest by law. No usury. Number 3, Gaddafi vowed that his parents would not get a house until everyone in Libya had a home. Gaddafi and his family lived in a tent during his reign. There he is in a picture with Thomas Sankara, the leader of Burkina Faso, socialist leader. Number 4, all newlyweds in Libya received 60,000 dinar, US $50,000, by the government to buy their first apartment, so to help start up the family. 5, education and medical treatment was free in Libya. Before Gaddafi, only 25% of Libyans were illiterate. Were illiterate. During his reign, the figure was 83%. 6, if Libyans wanted to take up a farming career, they received farmland, a farming house, equipment, seeds, and livestock to kickstart their farms, all for free. Gee, that sounds familiar. That sounds really familiar. When did that happen? Wait, did that happen here in the United States? Oh yeah, they did that for a bunch of white people way back then during the Homestead Act, when they actually had a whole bunch of white people move out west, and they gave them land free. They put them in school in order to learn how to farm and agricultural schools and all that. And so now they have generational wealth. Hell, even Dr. Martin Luther King even talked about that. They didn't do that for us though. And yet now you have it happening for Africans in Africa. Oh, they don't like that. Let's continue. 7, if Libyans couldn't find the education or medical facilities they needed in Libya, the government would fund them to go abroad for it not only free, but they got $2,300 a month accommodation and car allowance. In Libya during Gaddafi's reign, if a Libyan buys a car, the government subsidized 50% of the price. 9, the price of oil in Libya, gas in Libya was $0.14 per liter. 10, Libya had no external debt and its reserves amounted to $150 billion, now frozen globally. 11, if a Libyan was unable to get unemployment after graduation, the state would pay the average salary of the profession as if he or she is employed until the employment is found. 12, a portion of Libyan oil sale was credited directly to the bank accounts of all Libyan citizens. So Libya had universal basic income. 13, a mother who gave birth to a child received $5,000. I'm going to read that again. A mother who gave birth to a child received $5,000. Not charged, received $5,000. Imagine having a kid and you get a check for $5,000 just for having a kid. 14, 40 loaves of bread in Libya cost 15 cents during Gaddafi's reign. 15, 25% of Libyans had a university degree during Gaddafi's reign. 16, Gaddafi carried out the world's largest irrigation project, known as the Great Man-Made River Project, to make water readily available throughout the desert country. 17, he tried to unite Africa economically, militarily, and otherwise by introducing the gold dinar, most valuable and expensive African currency. They called this dictatorship. Years after killing him, Libya is in a very worse situation. Now, I'm not saying that he is perfect. I'm not saying that he is great by any means. But one thing I am saying is he sounds a hell of a lot better than any president that we've had, at least in the last 150 years. And they murdered him. They killed him. Because he was doing for his people, and he wasn't doing it in the capitalist fashion that they wanted. We came, we saw, he died. And this is what Hillary Clinton's going to be teaching at Columbia University. This is the grift that she's teaching. And so this is why it's so cringe. Because she's literally teaching people, young people especially, how to manipulate the world into being more favorable to corporate dictators. That's our foreign policy. To manipulate the world into making everyone slaves under the corporate dictators. That is foreign policy in the United States. That's foreign policy according to the West. That is Western hegemony. That is what it means to operate in a unipolar world. Is to subject the masses to be servants, to be slaves to a small group of people. And then when you get leaders who reject that, even though they may be imperfect in many ways, but they reject that, they are labeled as dictators. This is why the Castro government, they said that. This is why they said that under the DPRK. This is why they're saying this in Venezuela. This is why they're trying to go after China and they're vilifying people like Xi Jinping. Like I said, they are not perfect by any means, and they definitely have their flaws. But they are doing a lot more better for their people than the United States is doing for theirs. And people will say, oh, well, their government is broken down. Things aren't doing that well. Well, probably because they have sanctions against them because the United States doesn't want them to be successful. This is why, look, if you want to know when the United States says, oh, we're going to change things and make things better, it should actually get better. Not descend into open air slave markets like in Libya. That is a perfect example of U.S. foreign policy. The United States comes in, they tear your shit up, then guess what? You're worse off. That's what happens. This is why so many of us are anti-imperialist. This is why some of us are anti-war. This is why so many of us want to change the system from the bottom up, because people like Hillary Clinton should not be allowed anywhere near the levers of power, because she, as well as Obama, as well as Bush, as well as her husband, as well as Joe Biden, as well as Donald Trump, as well as all their secretaries of state and defense are monsters. And they are monsters working on behalf of the corporate dictators that employ them. And they only deserve the ire of the world. That's all they deserve. She should not be accepted anywhere in any type of educational institution whatsoever. So yeah, that's what happened. Going to go to The Rock. Let's go. Drew says, my question is, what knucklehead is going to even want to take these masterclass types of BS anyways, besides rich kids? Good to see you, Rory O'Neill. Thank you so very much for those comments on Rockfin. Anna Ringwald says, Chinese journalist asks UN Secretary General spokesman, why does the U.S. have a military presence in Syria? Is there any difference between this and the current situation in Ukraine? Razio says, unless dollar completely collapses, which by the looks of it should happen around 2032 by my latest calculations. Well, Feminist News Network says Cuba gives its people soap to clean and toothpaste and brush. This is why everyone looks clean. You want to know something else, Feminist News Network? I love bringing this up. Actually, let me bring it up. No. I'm gonna show you receipts. I love showing this because people, when they look at me, they're like, this isn't true. And I'm like, I'll read it in a week, motherfucker. All right. Let's show this. I'm gonna keep your comment up just as a reference, Feminist News Network, okay? But I want to add to what you just said. Because I love when people bring up stuff and then I can add to it. Thank you very much for this, by the way. But this is out of the National Library of Medicine, the National Center for Biotechnology Information from the NIH, National Institute of Health. Now, this says Transsexuals' Right to Health, a Cuban case study. It says in 2008, Cuba's Minister of Public Health signed Resolution 126, an act that assured complete coverage for Cubans seeking sexual reassignment surgeries, also known as gender confirmation surgeries, the first of any country in Latin America to do so. 10 years later, Cuba is celebrated as having one of the most open and inclusive LGBTQ public health and education programs in the Americas. As illustrated throughout this article, the Cuban state approaches sexuality and sexual identity not as rights-based issues, but rather as health-based challenges. Through the case study of Cuba's understanding of transsexuals' right to health, we argue that Cuba has provided an example of how the right to health for all moves towards breaking down the barriers of stigma by improving health outcomes for those with transsexual health needs, basically meaning for transgender people. This is out of the National Center for Biotechnology Information from the National Library of Medicine, out of the National Institute of Health, a government institution that is literally talking and proving that Cuba is more progressive than the United States. And people like Hillary Clinton wants to call people like Castro a dictator. Do not take everything these people tell you seriously. They will lie in order to gain power. How in the hell do you think United States has the unipolarity that it does. Part of it is through lying. Actually, you know what? Let me give y'all the link to this, just in case anybody got something to say, so y'all can share. Be like, don't you say nothing. Boom. There you go. Let them read it and weep. Cry them tears. Get it all out. Ryan76 says, our foreign policy is being used on this now. Absolutely. Steve says, I study at the University of Havana. It's a wonderful place. Ooh. Oh, Pasta from Convo Couch. He's actually in Cuba right now. Exciting, right? I want to go. Razio says, what do you mean Hillary isn't worth $200,000 for a speech? No. She's not worth $15 in a bag of Doritos. Screen Art says, U.S. has torched the Cuban people with the support and desire of the displaced capitalists from Cuba. Yippers. AG says, in the empire, the politicians change, but policies don't. In China, the party hasn't changed, but policies do. Interesting. I like that. Renard Prather says, this is all of our faults. We are programmed to bow down to power, and power keeps their foot on us. Once we realize what power is doing, then it's up to us to fight against it. But if you were brainwashed since the moment you were born, that necessarily can't be blamed completely on us. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I see what you're saying, though. The Jam Mom says, I'm guessing recommendation letters from HRC go pretty far in the State Department. Of course. Yes. Pasta's in Cuba right now. In fact, he's sharing pictures on it on Twitter. He's in Cuba. Yeah. It's pretty awesome. He got there over the weekend. I think Thursday or Friday, he got to Cuba. Archicario says, I honestly would love to visit Cuba, honestly, to see what it's like there. Me too. I want to get down there. Oh, yep, X, I got you. Sorry. Here you go, Yepex, asking about the Black Agenda Report article. There you go. My bad. I got you. Robert Templeton said, wasn't it Malcolm X who said, that's not a chip on my shoulder, it's a bone in my neck. Malcolm X has some great quotes. Serena says, as Nick said, there's no hero coming to save us. And Nick is absolutely correct. Screen Arts Media says Cuba would be wealthy if they could open the beaches and welcome us. Yeah, unfortunately, our foreign policy and our blockades and our sanctions on them will not allow us to freely travel there, number one. And number two, there's so much propaganda or brainwashing against Cuba that it makes people feel like, oh, we should never go there, even though Cuba is probably one of the most hospitable and nice places to visit. Look, and here's the thing. Guy Fieri of what's the Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives. Sorry, I was forgetting the word. Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives went to Cuba to look at their restaurants in Cuba. He was in heaven. And by the way, all the food in Cuba is organic because they don't have that industry. Everything that they create and make there, everything they plant there is organic. So, yeah. But yeah, so this is why, I am such an enemy of these corporate dictators, because they will constantly, over and over and over, use our government in order to oppress. And it's just sad. And the thing is that we can't even use our government to help us because our government will never listen to us. In fact, let me see. Do I have it? I know I have it. Let me see. I know I have it in here somewhere. Let me show you guys. Let me show you something. Remember Fire Marshal Bill? Yeah, here it is. I know Sabby has shown this, but this bears repeating, especially in regards to our government, if you guys don't know. It says feudalism then and now. You have medieval feudalism and corporate feudalism by rank. At the top, the very, very top, you have monarchs, kings, queens, emperors. At the top here, you have central bankers, Federal Reserve, Bank of Japan, ECB, what have you, right? Then you have the landed gentry, which is dukes, earls, barons. Then you have big bankers at the second level, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, right? You have clergy, archbishops, and priests. Then you have the corporate elite. You have Fortune 500, multinationals, right? Think of your Elon Musks, your Mark Zuckerbergs, people like that, right? Think about them. They are number 3 in line. They're not even the top. Then look at elected officials. They're number 4 in line. They're right there with the royal ministers, chancellors, constables, sheriffs. Elected officials are presidents, MPs, representatives. Then after that are the merchants, right? Traders, explorers, East India Company, top bureaucrats, commissioners, secretaries, judges. Vassals are tenant farmers, military officers. And then top professionals are doctors, entertainers, clergy, blah, blah, blah. And then everyone else is peasants, laborers, conscripts, and everyone else is workers, students, soldiers, blah, blah, blah. And so the thing is the people who are up here, these people, I say these 2 levels, are the ones, well, these 3 levels are what control the 4th level. And they obey everybody above them. They do not obey anyone below them. But there are way more of us below them than there are above them. And all we have to do is stand up. That's all we have to do. That's what it takes. So then we won't ever have another Hillary Clinton ever again. Isn't that nice? Did you like the stream? Did you subscribe? Go ahead. Do that. And while you're doing that, also, if you guys would like to, you guys can help us contribute to our graphics designer, Aaron. You can go to Venmo at Revolutionary Blackout, and then Cash App $Mutual Aid Forever, because Aaron loves the kiddies. So thank you so very much for contributing to our fundraiser for our graphics designer. Thank you. Also, make sure, if you guys have not yet, if you guys want to get your email notifications straight to your email from us on basically our mailing list, then you guys can go to our Substack. So revolutionaryblackout.substack.com, you guys can go there and also get email notifications, because sometimes the email notifications on YouTube are just not that reliable. Also, thank you to the patrons on Patreon, as well as to the people, the members as well, because we do have memberships. Well, I think we're at 100 members now. So thank you to everyone as well for becoming a member, as well as the patrons on Patreon and people who gives us any type of mutual aid via various platforms. Also, if you guys can, Rome is continuing to build the library. He's working very hard on it. Last time I checked, they're working on the ceiling, getting the hanging ceiling in. There's a lot of that tile that needs to be replaced, and they already are. I think they're almost finished with the flooring, and so they're doing a wonderful job right now. So you guys can go and look up. You guys can go and look up Tour for the Poor. You guys can look it up on Cash App. Tour for the Poor, especially. That's probably one of the quickest ways to get it to Rome if you guys want to give them some mutual aid that way. So yeah. So thank you so very much to everyone for contributing. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in. I got to get going. A brother is hungry. And I got to get me something to eat. Anywho. So, like I always say, water your plants, water yourselves, leave the world better than you found it. And by the way, don't take no classes from nobody who pushes all this imperialist BS. In solidarity with all the people out there in Mississippi and in Alabama, because they also got affected too. And if you can, contribute to mutual aid. Don't give no money to these politicians running. Give it to mutual aid. Help the people, not the rich. In fact, take back what they stole. Mwah. Forehead kisses. Deuces. I love you. I love you. Ew. Rock on.